Hello guys, I'm going to be doing a, excuse me, a controversial parenting tag, or the controversial mommy tag, or if you've seen it on YouTube, because it's going around on YouTube right now, that's what I'm doing. Anyways, so it's just a bunch of different parenting methods that people often argue about, that people often think one is better than the other. I just want to go ahead and say right now, before I start talking about all these different parenting methods, I don't think one parenting method is better than the other parenting method. I think that if it works for your family, then great. I know several little kids who've grown up with different households who do different things, and these kids grow up the same, and they're still well behaved and lovable and smart. So just because I parent a way that you wouldn't parent shouldn't matter, or vice versa. It comes down to, we love our children and we're going to parent the way we feel best, right? All right, so here we go. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 topics. All right, and I'll go ahead and start. Okay, so the first one is pro-life versus pro-choice. Now, I don't necessarily think this is a parenting method because it's abortion or not abortion. I mean, you're not even a parent yet. And I am 100% pro-life. I don't agree with it at all. I've heard all the scenarios that you can possibly throw at me. I've heard all of them. So I think that there are other ways in preventing. Even if you're raped, I think that there is. Now, I know it sounds bad. I just said that, but there's like the Plan B pill. Even if you find out you're pregnant and you're a couple months along after you were raped, it doesn't matter the age or anything. It's not that child's fault that happened, and I think that they should be given a chance. There's adoption. There's several families out there who would love to have that child. So that's how I feel on pro-life versus pro-choice. So baby wearing. This is an exciting one because I love those little baby slings that you can wrap around you, like the baby wrap, and like the little baby backpacks that you just put your baby in. And yeah, I think that is awesome. I think that, you know, you carry your baby inside of you for 9 months, and they're used to being that close to you. I don't think that once they're born, they should just, keep their distance. I think that it's a good thing to carry your baby. And I love the idea of it. I think that you can accomplish a lot with baby wearing, like breastfeeding and doing housework at the same time. So I like baby wearing. Circumcision. Yeah, this is a very controversial one, right? I've actually done a video on it, and I never posted it because I was afraid to, because it is so, oh man, so many people don't agree on this. But I don't agree with circumcision. I think a baby should be left intact. So that's my view on it. I believe that a baby was born with it for a reason. I believe that the foreskin protects the penis. I've done several studies on it. It's not needed. It's just for cosmetic reasons only. And yeah, I don't agree that a baby should have part of their penis taken off. That's basically what circumcision is. And I feel like that baby should have the right to make their own decision when they are older. But My husband and I don't agree on it. He believes in circumcision and I don't. But he also wasn't educated. I feel like most people who make the decision of circumcision are not educated on it. Now, if you are educated on it, I'm not calling you dumb. I'm glad you've done your research, because some people can do a lot of research and still decide that they want their child to be circumcised. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a decision that you're making for your child and your family. And if it works for you, it works for you. When it comes down to my baby getting circumcised when he is born, I think what I've come up with the decision to do, I'm going to lay all the resources in front of my husband and have him read it, all the information about circumcision. I'm going to have him watch a video of circumcision. And if you never watched a video and you're going to have a son, you need to watch a video. It's gruesome. You'll think twice before you want your baby having a circumcision. And I feel like that's a decision from father to son to make. I feel like I want to protect my baby, and I feel a little bit like a hypocrite for saying it, but I am going to let my husband make the decision. He doesn't know that yet. Because he knows he knows I'm really against it, and maybe he has come around. So this is something that we really haven't talked about since I've been pregnant. So I don't know. All I've got to say is, if you don't know much about it, other than it's custom in America to get your boy circumcised, do some research on it, because actually not a lot of babies are being circumcised now. The rates are dropping, and it's more likely in the locker room when your son's in high school for the majority of the boys in the locker room to be intact rather than circumcised. So do your research, and that's all I gotta say about that. Okay, adoption. Adoption is awesome, I think. I think that if anybody, no matter what age they are, gets pregnant and they decide that they cannot provide a stable environment for their son or daughter, I think that for them to make the decision to give their child up for adoption is the most selfless thing that you can do. It is awesome that you're putting your baby's needs before your needs and before your wants. I think that is awesome, because I know several families that cannot have children who would love to have your baby. So, yeah, I think that's an awesome thing that people can do. Travis and I, even before we got pregnant, considered adoption. Unfortunately, it's like really outrageous and expensive, but yeah. I agree with that. Getting your baby's ears pierced when they're a baby, I just said, but anyways, you know, I don't think it's the worst thing that you can do for your child. I do believe that if you put a hole in your skin, it's going to be there. It's going to scar. Maybe it's a good idea to wait and have your child make that decision if they want. But at the same time, I don't think there's any great health risks involved with getting your ears pierced. I got mine pierced when I was a baby. They're still pierced. I never wear earrings, though. But I like that they're pierced if I want to wear earrings. We got Ava's ears pierced when she was 2. So I don't think I'd get a newborn baby's ears pierced, but when they get a little bit older and they can say, yes, I want it, or no, I can't. I know 2 years old is not really a good age for making decisions like that, but we felt comfortable with getting her ears pierced. So, yeah, that's how I feel. Okay, breast milk versus formula milk. You know, some people just cannot breastfeed, and that is why there's formula. And I think formula is great. I think breast milk is great. I want to breastfeed my baby. I'm going to really try to breastfeed as long as I can. But there's some people who just don't want to breastfeed, and that's also why formula is there. Formula is just as good. I think, breast milk obviously has some things in it that is better for your baby. It's the best thing that you can do for your baby. But, they make formula for a reason. You're still feeding your child, so you're not starving your child. So yeah, I think that it really doesn't matter. I know kids who are breastfed. I know kids who weren't breastfed, and they're both smart and healthy. And I don't think that one versus the other is wrong. I think that as long as you're feeding your child, then you're doing the right thing. Spanking. My views on spanking. I don't agree with spanking. I was not spanked. I was not hit or spanked growing up. And I turned out just fine. I wasn't a bad kid. I didn't party. I didn't get into drugs or anything like that. I was a pretty good kid. And my parents used other discipline methods. So I feel like it is important to try all the discipline methods that you can before you resort to spanking. I don't feel like a baby should have to fear you. I feel like they should honor you, and I feel like they should obey you and not have to fear you. And that's how I feel about that. Little Ava is not spanked at either home, and she is one of the most well-behaved children that I know. So she listens very well. And we do timeout methods. We do chores. We take things away from her if she has to. But she very rarely ever needs to be disciplined because she's a very well-behaved child. Co-sleeping, I think, is I believe in co-sleeping. How about that? I think that as long as you practice it safely, then there's no harm in it. I have 2 co-sleepers, a white one and a green one. It's just like a miniature bassinet that you place right in your bed so you don't roll over on baby. I don't mind co-sleeping. Ava every now and then sneaks in her bed. She's, for the most part, 100% in her room, but she has the occasional nightmare. And if she has a nightmare, I'm not going to make her sit in her room by herself in the dark. I will offer her my bed, or I'll come to hers. And because she weaned herself into her own bed, she now prefers her bed over ours. So that's all I gotta say. I think that co-sleeping is a very good bonding method, and I do believe that there is a time for husband and wife to be alone. And I think that if your child has their own room, if they want to fall asleep in your bed, you can then move them so they feel comfortable, and then maybe you can have that time with your husband alone. So, okay, so homeschool versus public school, or homeschool versus public school versus private school. I think that homeschool is great if you have the time and the resources to do it. I think that is awesome. I don't believe that a homeschool child is socially awkward or anything like that. I think that you are doing the best for your child to make sure that they have the best education by teaching them yourself. And I think that's great. I believe in homeschool, and I believe that there's other ways and other activities for them to get social interaction. It doesn't have to be through school. Since Travis and I both work, we don't have that option for Ava to be homeschooled, especially since we have joint custody with her, and she's, with her mom part of the time. So, homeschool doesn't work for our family. Public school, she goes to public school right now. I'm not very fond of her public school, but that doesn't mean all public schools are like hers. Her school has been giving her soda and stuff like that, and I don't like that. I don't want her having caffeine. She's had it before. Obviously, I've let her have, a couple sips of my soda if I have one, but for the most part, I don't want her having caffeine. I care very highly of what goes into her body. I like to know what she's eating, and I like to make sure it's healthy. Another reason why I don't like her school is she rides the school bus from our house to school and home. And her school bus driver just drove right past our house one time and did not even drop her off. I was scared to death. I thought, did she even get on the bus? Was she waiting outside the school for me, thinking I was going to pick her up? Did someone else take her? So I called the school, and the school bus driver, they called the school bus driver, and she was on the bus. She just forgot to drop Ava off. And I was glad that she was on the bus. I was going to let that go, but then the bus driver had to be snooty with me and tell me that she was having a very bad day and blah, 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 blah. And she has so many kids that she needs to look after. And she's the only person on the only adult on that school bus. Okay, well, she's also the only kid on the street. So she was snooty with me, and I got mad. I let it go. We haven't had problems since then, but there are some other things that her school does that I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with. Maybe it's because last year she went to a private school, and I really loved everything that private school did. We were very involved. They let us know everything that was going on. They had like a lot of one-on-one time with her. They did a lot of interaction with different students of all ages. It was just a really great school, and I really loved it. And I wish she could have gone back this year. So, but she's in private school or public school now. So, vaccinations. I was vaccinated. I had all my shots when I was little, and I grew up just fine. Everyone else I know who had all their vaccines when they were little grew up just fine. I think there are risks involved if you don't or if you do. Some people have reactions to certain vaccines, and some people don't. And some people who don't get vaccinated could get the illness that the vaccine prevents. So I think there's risks going both ways here. And I feel like I did fine getting vaccinated. So did my husband. Ava has been vaccinated too, no reactions. I'm probably going to get our son fully vaccinated. I know people who don't get their children vaccinated at all, and their kids are perfectly healthy too. So I feel like whatever you're comfortable with is what you should do. Medication. Obviously, that if your child has like a illness that they need medication for, like a heart condition or like any sort of like medical illness like that you need medication for, obviously give your child the medication. For children who have ADHD, I feel like there are other methods that you can use first to see if it works rather than giving them medicine for it. But I know that there's different stages of ADHD. There's a very mild stage of ADHD, and then there's a very high stage of ADHD where your children just cannot control anything at all. If you feel like it's best to medicate them, I have never been in that situation, so I could not honestly say. But if a child needs to be medicated for it, if they cannot control, then I guess that's what the medication is there for, as long as your child's not suffering significant side effects from it. As far as, I thought someone was at my door. As far as medication for cold medicine, I think it just really depends, because if your child has just a runny nose and a cough, and they just suddenly got this. They just woke up with it, and they're not acting miserable. They just, they just have a cold. They're acting fine. I don't feel like you should give them cold medicine. I feel like, a cold goes away on its own. Your body fights a cold off. Now, cold medicine will not prevent a cold. It will not take the cold away. It takes the symptoms away. And I don't feel like if your child isn't suffering from the symptoms, you should give them medicine that's putting chemicals in your child's body that they don't need. Blah, 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 blah. That's how I feel about that. I don't even like taking cold medicine unless I'm absolutely miserable. So, antibiotics, obviously, you need them if you have infections. And I think they work great. If your kid has an infection, a sinus infection, kidney infection, bladder, whatever, you name it, yeah, obviously I think they should take an antibiotic because you don't want it to get worse. Cloth diapers versus disposable diapers. I don't think that either one is the wrong choice to use. Obviously, if you use cloth diapers, you're going to be saving a ton of money. And I think that cloth diapers are probably better for your baby's bottom. And I have a few cloth diapers so far. I am trying to stock up on more. I will still use disposables if, we go out on vacation, or, we're going to be gone all day, or they're going to the babysitter or whatever. Yeah, I think my baby will be half and half cloth diaper, half disposable. So, plus disposables are really cute. Okay, and lastly, the cry it out method. I don't think that the cry it out method, a lot of people don't agree with the cry it out method. So basically, the cry it out method is you put your son or your daughter in a crib and they're crying because for whatever reason, they're scared, they have a wet diaper, they just don't want to be in the crib, they're not ready to go to sleep. Should you let your baby cry it out? I think I'm going to be the type of person who's going to want to grab my baby as soon as they start crying. Is that going to spoil my baby? Absolutely not. I've talked to many people about it before. I've done research on it. Your baby only has one way to communicate, and that's through cry. So they can't tell you what's wrong. They can't tell you if they're scared or cold. They want their mom. They want their parent. So I feel like if your baby is crying, it's for a reason. Sometimes I know children throw fits and stuff, but you're supposed to be there to comfort them, right? So that's how I feel about it.